stepping on a crack really break your mother's back? And will breaking a mirror really cause you 7 years of bad luck? How many times have you knocked on wood in this past week alone? We sat down with Russel Frank, folklorist expert, to find out what he thought about superstitions.
Superstition is kind of an ethnocentric term. In other words, one person's religious belief is another person's superstition. The problem that folklorists have with the word superstition is that, it's kind of denigrating somebody's beliefs to call them. It's like dismissing them. Oh, they're just superstitions. They're not rational. They have no real basis. Well, if you're Catholic and you believe that if you don't confess your sins before you die, that you're not going to go to heaven, then I could say as a non-believer, well, that's just a superstition. And it's like, no, this is what I believe to be true with all my being. I was raised this way. This is my religious beliefs, and so the more neutral term that folklorists use is folk beliefs instead of superstition.
Many people practice certain rituals to ward off evil. The real question is, will something bad actually happen if you fail to follow these magical beliefs?
These things is kind of an ambiguous thing. If you ask people, do you really believe this? And they say, well, no, or more like, who knows? There's a great lyric in a blues song that goes, I ain't superstitious, but a black cat just crossed my path. And so, what that says is, I don't believe this stuff, but just in case it's true, I'm taking it seriously.
Basically, I'm a nervous flyer, and every time before I get on a plane, I have to step with my right foot and kiss the plane with my right hand.
It's like if I spill salt, that I have to throw it over my left shoulder. If I say something that, you say you may never have broken a bone, I have to touch wood. I don't walk underneath ladders. I don't open umbrellas and doors. It's just superstitions of my, I guess my mom told me when I was younger.
Well, I ain't superstitious, but a black cat I've lost my trace.
There are many ways that people acquire their folk beliefs, and one of them is family. Many individuals are raised to avoid the dreaded bad luck and really do put time and effort into these rituals.
Don't sweep me with no broom.
Although sometimes these things start as serious beliefs, and then what often happens is that there are serious things in adult culture, and then adults stop believing them, but they get passed down in children's culture, and children continue to believe them.
My grandmother was very superstitious. I always had to walk into her house with my right foot. I always had to kiss her from the right side. When I moved into my first apartment, she gave me sugar and salt. I really have no reason why. I always put red ribbons under my children's mattresses. It all came from my grandmother.
My sister's very superstitious. My parents are not. My parents think it's, very strange that me and my sister are like this. But then again, it's not to the extent where it affects my life in a negative manner. It's just little quirks that I notice. Some of my friends will pick up on it, but it's really nothing that really affects my life.
I believe in a lot about superstitions. I come from a family where we are very careful about the things that we do and say because of our background. Culturally.
My dad's pretty superstitious, so a lot, especially with sports and stuff. Well, he coaches, so he would do a lot of the same stuff. Before games, he'd wear the same thing.
My dad is pretty superstitious with sports, like Ryan's dad was. When he played, he had certain routines that he did. As far as he always sat on the same seat on the airplane. He always had a room with the same person at the hotel. He always did little things like that.
Superstitions have a mind of their own when it comes to athletes. Wearing a dirty jersey may be the key to winning a game, maybe even stretching in the same place. But does it really change the outcome of a game?
In sports, I think, is muscle memory, and so doing everything the same way again and again. Like if you play baseball, you have this stance and you have this swing, and it's really, it's pretty precisely calibrated. If anything gets slightly off in your approach, suddenly you can't hit as well. And so when you get in a good groove, you don't want to change anything. It's like I'm locked in. They always use that expression, I'm locked in. And once you're locked in, anything that you change might disturb it. And really, what's true is anything you change in the swing itself is going to inhibit your hitting, but you sort of extend that. Well, if I got 3 hits yesterday and I was wearing these socks, I should wear them again.
One superstition I have started my freshman year. I always put everything on my right side first. When I get my ankles and wrist tape, I always get my right side tape first. When I put on my socks and shoes, I always put my right shoe on, right sock on first. When I put on my pants, I always go through my right leg first. And then, I mean, it just feels weird if I don't. There's been one pregame, I forgot I put my left shoe on first, and then as I was stretching, I realized I did it, and I like had to take my shoes off and put my right shoe on first again. It just feels weird if I don't do it.
I mean, if I have a bad game, sometimes I think like I need to drop that ritual, switch to someone else. The biggest ritual I think I do that I've been doing for a long time since I was like 10 is before every at bat I go through the same warm-up, swinging my bat around, like same thing every time. And if I don't do it, or if I forget to do it, which doesn't happen much, I always look back and I'm like, it's because I didn't do that I didn't get a hit.
Before every game, I wait to take a shower. I take a shower at the last minute of the stadium, and I usually, when I'm in the shower, you know, I just go over stuff in my head and think about what I'm going to do in the game. But the shower is like a routine for me to just like wash everything off of the week, wash all my problems away, and just go ahead and think about the game.
Sports, family, and less religious acts of superstition are present in everyday life. But is there a method behind what some people may call madness?
You know, there was a lot of belief in the world in unseen spirits, you know, that these things were all around you and they had the power to do you good or to do you harm. And so a lot of these behaviors are related to sort of appeasing these spirits or not, you know, not offending them in some way. So if you think about knocking on wood, you know, people used to believe that, some people still do, that trees, let's say, there were spirits in the trees and that they were helpful spirits. And so knocking on wood was a way to sort of get their attention and say, hey, you know, look out for me, you know, in this situation. So the ladder forms a triangle with the ground, you know, ladder, ground, building, and it forms a triangle, and it plugs into these ideas about the Holy Trinity and that you don't want to step in, like, through a triangle, because a triangle becomes this kind of holy space that you're violating. But of course, everyone talks about the practical reason that if there's a ladder, there might be somebody up on the roof, and maybe they're banging in nails. If you walk on the ladder, they might drop the hammer. You know, breaking a mirror is a fairly obvious one. You know, a lot of this stuff connects to, you know, again, these magical ideas, and one is that anything that has your image, that harm could be done. If harm is done to your image, then harm comes to you, too. And that's like the voodoo idea. Everybody's familiar with the idea that you have a likeness of somebody and you stick pins in that likeness, that you can hurt them. Well, it's sort of the same idea, that because the mirror reflects your image, that if you break the image, it might break you or harm you. And so that's what that's about. I think that people thought that salt, first of all, had some medicinal properties a long time ago, and that and also that there were, again, these spirits lurking all around, so you were kind of throwing them at the spirits, you know, just like get them to back off or something like that. But, you know, it's rare to find anybody who totally doesn't do these things at all, or at least think about them in the situations when they occur. You know, so, you know, if you break a mirror or if you spill salt, you know, you may not place any stock in, you know, this is filled with portent, and it's something you need to worry about. But you'll definitely think about it, you know, as you know, it triggers the superstition, whether or not you believe it or not. So it's very powerful in that sense, you know, and it's and you know, when it comes down to this, you know, centuries and more, you know, before our time. It's like ancient stuff.
So, will stepping on a crack really break your mother's back? And will breaking a mirror really cause you 7 years of bad luck? In the end, it's all up to you.
Quiet on the set, eh? We're on the air. Don't you see? Don't we have a red light flashing out there?
I'm mixing up a bunch of magic